I'll maybe switch the topic, which could build
Yep.
into our next segment.
Yep.
But let's talk about our last couple picks. So the 15th, 8th,
Yes.
16th round. Obviously, at this point, we're looking to just pretty much try and hit some homers. I feel like at this point, you want to hit some home runs. And people with upside that I guess you could see, or even just someone who's just for some reason fallen that low, and you're like, I'll just take this man, like he can
Yeah.
give me value in my build.
Yeah.
So my 15th round player, I ended up getting Gary Harris. I was like, you know what pick is this? It's going to be about 147 is the
Yes.
pick.
Late.
And look, if he starts, he had a pretty he's had unhealthy seasons really the past
Yeah,
couple of
he
years.
has.
If he can stay healthy, and if he can get his steals back up in the playoffs, and maybe gave me a bit of hope. He was literally coming back from an injury and then entered the bubble, which doesn't really give me a whole lot of hope there. But when I saw him play, he was the defense was there. He can get steals, he can get threes. I'm hoping that he can get some value. Like a few years ago, he was kind of like that top 50 player when he was getting minutes and playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
look, I threw a flyer at him. There's some ceiling there. So
that's exactly what you want to do at the end of the drafts. I'll give an example of a reason why you wouldn't want to do that in a second. But basically, well, there's two main things you want to be doing. You want to be getting players who, if they hit, it hits big, and there might be positional battles, or there might be a young rookie or a second-year player that could make a huge leap. So that's the first option, and probably the most popular. The second option is you want to find a player who may be starting instead of an injured player, and that may have short-term high value and will later fade off. So an example for that would be like a player that I selected at the end of the draft, which is Jeff Teague. Obviously not someone who I plan to keep around for the entire season, but early on in the draft, early on in the season, he projects to start instead of Kemba Walker. So he's going to have some good value to start the season. And especially when I've already selected someone like a Jaren Jackson Jr., if everything goes well, and if all my players that I picked hit, chances are they won't. But if they do, I then have an injured player that can come back and replace him. And it's a sort of a seamless transition from there. So that would be the only time that you wouldn't go for a fly if you had someone, say, for example, like our friend Badad, he picked up Maxi Kleber. Perfect. He's going to be a starting center to start the season. Kristaps comes back. You can then drop Maxi Kleber, and then you've got your sort of good value for a late round pick from there. So those would be your two strategies at the end of the draft.
Yeah, especially since those late round picks that are most likely ones you're going to have to drop. And if you want to be successful in your league, you need to be looking at the waiver wire and you need to be picking up players when they start shining. Because for all we know, like there's always there's going to be some player who is probably ranked 500 who there's all these injuries maybe, and he steps up and he ends up averaging like 18 points a game. So you never know what's going to happen, and you need to have your waiver wire open. So look, my last pick was Malik Beasley from the Timberwolves, and it's just kind of like, you know what? I understand that whole kind of guard, shooting guard, small forward lineup is pretty packed at the Timberwolves, but he got paid a lot of money, and maybe he does start. And when he was starting for that last bit of last season, he was put up 20 points a game. So it's that kind of potential. If he doesn't get the start, if he doesn't get the nod, and they go with like Anthony Edwards, then cool. I'm going to drop him and I'll pick up someone else. So
yeah, I love it. It's someone I definitely considered. Like in my last pick, it was him, and obviously the two players that I did select. But I am a little bit worried about the suspension situation with him. It's like if those other players that I did select weren't there, I probably would have gone him. But yeah, the suspension situation, and like you said, the crowded nature of the backcourt, but it could easily work out. Like he was putting up 20 points and 3 threes at the end of last season on the Timberwolves. So, and like you said, they paid him $60 million to stick around. So that tells me that they want to play him, and whether it's the 2 or the 3, he should get minutes. That's assuming that this legal situation isn't too severe. He doesn't set out too many games with the suspension. So let's get into it. I want to throw it over to you. We're gonna break down. It can be our picks or any other picks, but basically some flyer or deep sleepers is what we're calling them. Picks that you can get, let's say after pick 120 in a draft, that have the potential of being good picks and potentially may stay in your team and offer value for the rest of the season. So I might kick it off first with my guy that I selected second last, or basically with my last pick because I had back-to-back, with Chris Boucher of the Toronto Raptors, my third Raptor on the team. But this guy's per 36 minutes or even per 26-minute stats are actually insane. And look, the Raptors, they got rid of their starting and backup center this year. So there's scope for this, for Chris to actually get in there and get some minutes. So I like the risk of taking him at the end of your drafts. He's ranked 132 on Yahoo. He actually used to be ranked outside the 200s. But again, they've recently updated and brought him into the 130. So be sure to look for him in your drafts. What are your thoughts on Boucher?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some upside there. So it's a great pick of that round. There's a lot of people been talking about him. I don't really think he's a great fit I think he's a little bit small to play to center. But if you actually, I remember looking at some of his stats. It was on my kind of like my kind of like, players to watch last season in fantasy, because when he did get minutes, he was putting up stats.
So last year he played 13 minutes per game and put up a block a game. So in 13 minutes, so his per 26, I said per 26. So again, he averaged 13 minutes last year. So even if he just doubles that, doesn't even get a full-time starter's gig. But if he was to do that, he would put up numbers of 13, 9, and 2 blocks. Like those are that's almost top 50 value right there. And that's only in 26 minutes. So there's some really, really high upside there with Chris. Look, and if it doesn't work, he doesn't get the minutes, then I just drop him. It's not a big deal, but really high upside there.
Yeah, I think it was a good pick. I guess I'll walk into one of my players. I think he was ranked in the 200 and something, but I did pick him up in the 13th round. So I actually reached super hard for this dude. Mason Plumlee. I thought, you know what? I understand that team does have about 7 different centers in their team, which is probably why he's ranked so low.
I would say so.
But I saw that there was a comment from the GM who's giving me a bit of faith and saying that Mason Plumlee essentially will be our starting center. We're putting some confidence into him. So, and when he played starting center for the Trailblazers, he was one of those guys who put up, 10, 8 with like 3 assists. And then kind of like that 1 steal, close to 1 steal, close to 1 block. I obviously don't care about blocks on my build, but getting a big that can also steal the ball too can be helpful. So the points aren't there, but I thought it's a bit of a flyer. Sure, if it doesn't work out, there's always someone on the waiver wire. So he'll be my first pick as a deep sleeper.
Yeah, I actually absolutely love this pick. Like on Yahoo, he is ranked 200. What is he ranked? 227th. Like that is real deep, and that's even with their updated rankings. I'll read you some numbers. In 28 minutes in 2016-17 at Portland, he put up 11, 8, and 4 with a steal, basically a steal and a block, shooting 53% from the field. Like those are some serious numbers, and that's only in 28 minutes. So I could definitely see him getting close to 26, 28 minutes a night on this Detroit team. So I love that pick. I think it's even in round 13 when you got him, I think it's a good selection. And for him to be ranked 227th, how do we think he's going to be that bad? I would take him over a lot of players a lot higher. So I think he's a great deep sleeper pick.
He does hurt you a bit in the 3 throws, which is worth mentioning, but my team's pretty solid and I could absorb a bit of that and still be competitive.
Yeah. Look, I don't assume he's going to take too many, but it is something that you do need to consider if you are looking after that category. So that is a good point. I'll throw it back. Someone that I didn't select and probably won't be considered a sleeper in our draft, but in terms of the rankings, at rank 128 is Elfrid Payton. I don't know why he's ranked that low when he's clearly going to be the starting point guard for the Knicks. And last year put up some solid numbers. I think he's going to do basically the exact same thing this year. We mentioned before that points and assists are really hard to get after the first sort of 50 picks. And so here's someone at the end of the draft that you can get that'll put up, close to 5, 6, potentially even 7 assists a game. So obviously he has his downside, doesn't shoot any threes, doesn't score a lot. Free throw percentage is a bit iffy, but those assists are extremely valuable late in drafts. So definitely someone that I would be picking well before pick 128.
Yeah, I think I picked him up. I think it was last season, shortly before it all ended. And I picked him up because he was literally he put up like a triple double. So if I think someone got injured or something. So he got the starting role. And then I picked him up and he ended up putting up like 4 triple doubles in the next 2 weeks, which is huge. So when this man gets minutes, he is pretty good. He gets assists and he's a guard that can rebound. And someone screams out to me that like Tibbs is going to like this kid.
Oh, 100%. Tibbs will love him. He'll play him 35 minutes potentially.
Yeah. So if this kid plays 35 minutes, that is an absolute steal.
Oh, even in 27 and a half minutes last year, put up 10, 5 and 7 with a steal and a half per game. Like those are some really big numbers, and only 2 turnovers if you care about that. Obviously low free throw percentage, but similar to someone like Lonzo, only put up 1.9 attempts per game. So not that big of a hurdle to clear. So yeah, I can't see anything wrong with picking him outside. If you pick him after pick 100, that's a great pick. So shout out to Sam who got that pick in our draft in the what was it, the 12th round.
Yep, he got him at 112 is where he was picked up.
Yeah, so that's value there. I think that's really good value. What's another deep sleeper, Cal?
Another deep sleeper for me. I'm going pretty deep. I'm going off the board. I'm going to kind of keep in my watch list. We'll see how the season starts off. Okay. But I'll say Dwight Powell, because apparently he's come back from injury. He's healthy. He's at camp. And we know that Kristaps is going to be sitting out for a while. I see that you're typing. I see that you're interested. And maybe you're going to pick him up right now, Mitch. I don't know. I don't know if I got your interest.
I just wanted to see what his injury was.
He's ranked
he was out for a while.
I think it was his Achilles. It was something real bad. It was really bad last season, but he's ranked at 168.
Yeah.
And with Kristaps out, it could be one of those guys who actually gives you pretty good value just to begin the season. If he does start, I don't know. Like, we know it was a big off season in terms of obviously the shutdown as well. So if he can come back and play reasonable minutes, there's no reason why he shouldn't be picked up. I know he was on your team last year.
He was, and I was a bit disappointed, to be honest. I was expecting big things from Dwight Powell. He's one of those guys that he puts up a huge field goal percentage and gets decent points and rebounds and can hit a 3 here and there. But was a bit disappointing in terms of injury and fit next to them. Maxi Kleber and him obviously battled for that starting center position. Look, I don't love it. I mean, I'm not sure about his injury. I thought he was out for a good while. Well, yeah, his Achilles.
Yeah, but it's been a while. He did it pretty early in the season.
Yeah, I guess he did. It says here he's a full go at practice, so that's news to me.
Exactly.
So maybe that is something that I would keep an eye on.
Keep him on your waiver wire, because he could definitely come up.
Yeah, put him in your watch list.
That's it.
I don't mind it. Yeah, if he's firing and fit and healthy, and especially if he comes back before Kristaps, it's not a bad one. I'm gonna throw one more name out there, and this guy I would have loved to get on my team, and I thought I was, because prior to our draft he was ranked in the 300s. I think it was 370. That has since been rectified by Yahoo, and he's come all the way into rank 158. But I still think he's value at that spot, and that's Darius Bazley of OKC. OKC don't have many good players, Cal, and I think Darius Bazley is going to be the starting power forward on this team. We saw small glimpses of him in the bubble, playing some high minutes. So I feel as though of all the young guys, now you might think that Lou Dort might be someone that you want to watch, but I feel like Darius Bazley's game is more suited to fantasy. He's a good rebounder for his position. Will get you some points, maybe get you some threes. Percentages will be okay. So I really like him from a role standpoint on that Thunder team.
Yeah, I totally agree. He actually, I remember watching that series, OKC versus Houston. So I did watch a few games, and I remember this thinking to myself, like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, basically, I remember I was like, why are they giving these minutes to this kid who, like, I've never even seen him or heard of him before? Yeah. But when you actually watch him, he was actually doing pretty good things out there, and he get the block, he get a steal, he get those kind of counting stats, he'd rebound. He's a long dude.
Yeah, he's a long.
And he actually kind of won me over just in that series. Like, that series went to 7, and he honestly played a pretty good role in that series. So there's no reason why, now that they've shipped off all of their starters, why they can't just invest some stock in him. Yeah,
100%. I think, like, and especially with, like, when he's playing alongside a center like Al Horford, who's never been like a massive rebounder. I could see him averaging close to like 8-9 rebounds a game, and getting maybe, I don't know, your 14, 15 points per game. And maybe some bits and pieces in the steals, blocks, and 3-pointers. So I really like him. I thought that I was going to get him, being the fact that he was ranked outside the top 350 in our team on Yahoo. But our draft was switched on, and Chris picked him up in the the second last round. So I think that's a great selection there.
155 is where he fell.
Yeah, so I was hoping to get him with one of my last picks, but not to be. Hopefully he, I don't know. Hopefully he starts bad and Chris drops him and gets impatient. I'll pick him up. But I really like his outlook this season. Do you have anyone else that you wanted to mention as a deep sleeper?
I'll mention another deep sleeper. And it's because I've been a fan of him. I reckon I will maybe even try and pick him up because I need points. As I mentioned before, I need points. This man is a bit of a Harrison Barnes, I only get points kind of player. Yep. But I've always been a fan of Lonnie Walker.
The Spurs. Yeah, okay.
If they started him in the bubble, they decided to go with 4 guards and that 1 center at Jakob Poeltl, but that was because I do admit that LaMarcus Aldridge sat out of the bubble. So if they do kind of still decide to just run with Jakob as a backup, LaMarcus at the 5, there's a world in which I can see Lonnie Walker actually starting.
Well, I believe the talk in the Spurs camp is that Aldridge will play a lot more at the 5. Whether that means that DeRozan moves over to the 4 and then it's Lonnie Walker that gets the minutes, or whether it's just a bit of a committee. Rudy Gay might get in there a bit more. Not too sure on that there, but I suppose he does have a good upside if he does get the minutes.
It's a sleeper pick. He's ranked 199, so he's just in the 200.
Yeah,
and
so
he's a guy. He's guys on my watch list. If Malik Beasley doesn't end up getting minutes, fuck it, maybe I just get Lonnie Walker. If he don't, if he gets minutes, he's a guy I can see averaging it's just gonna be points. Just to be clear, it might be 3s as well, but it's pretty much just gonna be I reckon best case scenario if he averages 16 points a game, that'd be huge.
Yeah. I think that'd be his ceiling. And like you said, he might get a steal a game and maybe a 3.5 to 2 threes a game.
He'll get a highlight reel dunk. If that was a category, he gets some highlight reel. That man is athletic.
He's exciting. I'm pretty excited by the Spurs backcourt this year. One of my picks was Derek White. So I think that they're going to be playing heavy minutes together, which is why I'm less confident that Lonnie Walker will get minutes at the 2, because I think that DeJounte and Derek White will play a lot of minutes together. So it's whether or not, like you said, that I do believe Aldridge will play a lot of center. It's whether that DeRozan shifts over to the 4, which is a possibility. They have done it before. So definitely someone to take your last pick on or stash on your watch list and keep an eye on how that rotation goes. Cool. So that'll wrap it up for our sleeper chats. We're getting close to the start of the season, Cal. We're going to go into in the future podcasts before the season starts, just our picks on some standings predictions, some awards predictions. So stay tuned to that. Do you have any hot takes off the top of your head for what you reckon is going to happen this season?
Some hot takes. You're putting me in the spot a little bit. Maybe Golden State figure it out and they win the title. Who knows? Maybe Steph Curry is the best point guard of all time.
That's not that hot. I threw you under the bus a bit there, but I don't know. Maybe Jason Tatum for MVP. That could be.
He'll be in the discussion. I'll guarantee that he'll be a top. I'm going to say a top 5 in points in that MVP vote.
Yeah, he's gonna put up stats. But if you want to keep following us, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We talk fantasy. We're going to be talking a bit more just normal basketball soon once all the fantasy drafts are done. And if you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us a 5-star rating. And until next time, we will catch you guys later. See ya.